Have one more story here tonight about the uh, religious efforts to, oppose marijuana legalization across the country. And for this story, we go from Arizona and California all the way to the East Coast out to Massachusetts, where we have the Archdiocese in Boston just dumped $850,000 into the last minute effort to defeat the state ballot measure to legalize marijuana in Massachusetts, calling the increased drug use a threat to the Catholic Church's health and social services programs. Now, when I heard this the first time, I thought, health and social services programs. So you're saying that if people, when they're kids, can no longer get arrested for marijuana, then you don't you're not going to be able to pretend like you're saving the youth by steering them away from the drug epidemic because they got caught with marijuana, which if you believe in just the statistics and let just the statistics tell you stories, yeah, a lot of kids go to rehab for marijuana, but the reason is because it's to avoid other trouble that they could get into, like juvenile detention or later on prison, or have it like a felony on their record before they're even 18. So that's crazy, like that they want to act like they're doing something. These social service programs, really, they're not worried that there's going to be an influx of new addicts coming in. They're worried that there's going to be less addicts to deal with, because also in states where marijuana has been legalized for recreational and medicinal purposes, the opioid let's say problem overall has been seen a major decrease in the number of people overdosing on heroin, the number of people overdosing on prescription opioids, the number of people that show up in emergency rooms from overdosing just in general on anything that has to do with opiates. So they're dumping $850,000. Now let's look at that in perspective. That's about the second highest amount of money that's been put towards anti-legalization efforts. You have Sheldon Adelson dumping at least $1 million per. He's probably got it wrapped up. Like he's probably like four million ish in. But if we're talking about just one state, he did put $2 million in Nevada, I believe, on the anti-marijuana effort. He put $1 million over here in Massachusetts, so boom, he's the first highest purveyor of money against marijuana legalization in Massachusetts, and the Boston Archdiocese comes in at a close second with $850,000. And again, like I said in the last video, or the one before that, or all the other ones talking about this reefer madness, really all it equates to is these damned awful commercials just popping up even more than they already were. And I don't subscribe to cable TV because I don't pay the giant corporations to rule my life and destroy my brain with propaganda. So I don't know what's going on TV. I don't turn on a TV and notice commercials running on the airwaves. Now when I'm on the internet, I do see some commercials from time to time and some advertisements and whatnot. I haven't seen official anti-marijuana propaganda commercial where I live. I'm in Michigan, so we don't have anything on the ballot, and we're not getting that firsthand. So I don't know what it's like to live in Massachusetts, Maine, Nevada, Arizona, California, or if I missed one, Massachusetts. I don't know if I said that or not. That's the one we're talking about. But these 5 places that are legalizing recreational marijuana specifically. I don't know if you're talking about the medical marijuana initiatives that are also being voted for. I haven't really heard too much reefer madness coming out of there, but I'm sure it's there. So don't take me as saying that it's not there. I don't know. I don't live in any of these places, so my guess is as good as guessing on what the weather is going to be like in Michigan tomorrow. I really don't know. But what I do know is that the anti-marijuana efforts in all these states have one thing in common, and that's the reefer madness has been consistently the exact same 5 to 7 talking points. You can include a couple more if you're going a little bit extreme. but I made a meme about it. It's really just really lame talking points that nobody that actually can access Google believes any of this shit. So I don't know who they're actually talking to. I think they're really just trying to mobilize some base of some old people that want to keep marijuana illegal because of whatever reason they have. You know, for example, I have no idea why the church would want to make this effort, and it's a big effort. It's not just a drop in the bucket, but all it's doing is putting more of these ridiculous commercials that no one believes on the air. So, this church's contribution represents about 50% increases over what the anti-marijuana campaign for a safe and healthy Massachusetts has collected so far. That's pretty impressive, really. So what you're saying is all the money they've raised so far is about $1.6 million ish, and this right here, this additional 850, represents a 50% increase. So now they're at about 2.4 million or 2.5 million. This total, however, is still less than half of what has been raised for the referendums, people that want it legalized. It's pretty high there. I think last time I seen Massachusetts, it was over fucking 5, maybe 6 million. I mean, it doesn't even matter, because I don't think they're doing the same thing. I don't know. I can't say. I'm not on the ground. I wish someone would tell me. I don't know what's going on in Massachusetts, but the pro-legalization people are basically just doing smart tactics. They're not inundating you with stupid commercials. They're doing counter commercials. I don't even know. I've looked at one of the commercials, the counter commercials. I wasn't that impressed with it, but then again, like I said, I don't have TV, so I don't get where you watch a commercial 50 million times, and at first you are annoyed by it, and then you're just kind of singing with it, and then you're like, just like a mindless drone and drools coming down while the commercial's running 5 times an hour. You know, I mean, I used to have TV for a minute, so I know, you know, I mean, throughout my whole life, I've never really subscribed to the idea of having to have TV and watching shows on some kind of schedule or following certain news personalities too much. I mean, when Ed Schultz was around and when he was cool, like, I was down. Before that, when Keith Olbermann, when he was going strong and solid on MSNBC, I was down. Other than that, you know, I've never really cared too much about TV, you know. I don't know, it's just not my thing. So these people have also sent materials to parishes and schools arguing against the ballot question. I don't know what good it does to send stuff to schools unless you're talking about colleges where people can actually vote. Well, anyway, quote, "It reflects the fact that the Archdiocese holds the matter among its highest priorities," Archdiocese spokesman Terrence Donnellan said of the donation. "It's a recognition that, if passed, the law would have significantly detrimental impacts on our parishes, our ministries." Just last week, convening a group of interfaith leaders around strategies to defeat the measure, Cardinal Sean P. O'Malley said the Archdiocese would spend only a small amount in opposition. But within the last few days, his thinking changed, Donnellan said. Quote, "The more he thought about this and prayed about this, he thought this was the right thing to do because it directly impacts the people we're trying to help." No, it don't. The people you're trying to help don't care about this. If someone is seeking the church for help, then they have serious problems, you know. It ain't marijuana. Donnellan said the money comes from a discretionary, unrestricted central ministry fund, not from parish collection baskets or other programs. Does it matter? I mean, this is the Catholic Church. We're talking about billions of dollars a year they pull in. They don't pay that much out in lawsuits. They pay out some because of all the child molestation cases that they settled or whatever, you know, charities that they might claim to do, so they have to spend a certain amount on it. I don't really hold too much weight with this Catholic Church actually doing a whole lot of charities, because I've seen the problems around the world and I've seen the bottom line of the Vatican, and so I don't really think they're really doing a whole lot of anything to stop anything. They could easily solve world hunger just by buying food for people that ain't got food. That's how much money they pull in and have stockpiled. So let's just let's just stop talking about this shit like we even care where they got the money from, man. But the fact is, it's $850,000. So what's the problem with using that money for something good? You know, like, is this even worth it? Even if you really believe that legalizing marijuana is just going to destroy the whole world and country, and oh my God, everybody's going to start smoking weed, and then they're going to be going to heroin because it's not strong enough, and then they're going to be marrying goats, and, you know, it's just going to be terrible, man. But what they don't get is that people already smoke weed, and legalizing marijuana doesn't really affect the number of people that smoke weed too much. Maybe it just bumps it up a little because people aren't afraid. You've seen people, you know, these polls come out in the last 6 months talking about how many more people smoke marijuana than ever before. Well, it's because they're coming out of the closet more than ever before. That's it. That's the only reason them poll numbers are going up. And that's the same reason poll numbers are going up on marijuana legalization rapidly and exponentially fast. You know, it was just not too long ago where we were like, whoa, 56% of America legalized marijuana, yay, whoa. And then Gallup just came right back out with another one saying 60. It used to take like 10 years for 4% of America to agree to marijuana legalization increase from a different poll. That would be years between those numbers, not months or weeks. The pro-legalization forces say that they aim to create a regulated and taxed market, removing marijuana sales from the criminal sphere. They point to statistics showing that current marijuana laws disproportionately hurt people of color, which is another reason why I'm really mad about all these churches and their efforts to stymie legalization of marijuana. It's not that we're saying, hey, we want marijuana to be in everybody's cupboard or whatever so that the kids can grab a fat joint anytime they want. What we're saying is we're sick of people going to jail for this shit. It's harmless. It ain't shit. It's just a benign substance. Sure, it might give you a little bit of a euphoric sensation or whatever, but oh well, you know, get over it. So does a lot of shit that's you can buy over the counter. So is like caffeine, alcohol, tobacco. The FDA doesn't say shit about tobacco except for that it can kill you. That doesn't mean you can't buy it. Marijuana has never killed anybody, and you can't buy it. So anyway, you know, opponents have cited the state's opiate addiction crisis, warning that marijuana is the gateway drug. It's not. Quit saying that shit. Marijuana is not the gateway drug. Nobody believes you. You see me? I'm 44 years old. I've been pushed this gateway theory my whole life. I never believed it. I looked around me my whole life and I seen people that went on to heroin and crack and meth and all that shit. They never even gave a fuck one about marijuana. It wasn't even part of their repertoire. If anything, they started smoking cigarettes and doing pills. What's a gateway to heroin? Marijuana, which has nothing to do with opiates, or pills, especially opioid pills. If you start doing pills, there's a greater chance that you're going to end up doing heroin because it's the same fucking drug. So this whole notion that marijuana leads you to even pills is bullshit. If you smoke marijuana, you're more prone to like look into things and know that pills are probably not something you want to do because, you know, it's not what was intended to be done, I guess. If it's a plant, you can just walk up to it and pick a fucking bud off it and smoke it. That seems like something that is meant to be done. Alright, and then they argue about the edibles, the candy-like products infused with cannabis could lure children into trying the drug. Now we're talking not just kids are confused, they don't know if the edibles have marijuana in them or not. They might accidentally eat it because your dumb parents are just going to leave marijuana edibles laying around the house all over the place. They don't care. Kids are going to walk up and eat them, and then they're going to die. First of all, these edibles that you keep talking about in the candy, why is candy supposed to be a lure for kids? You know, you act like the perverts out there in the dark vans with no windows are gonna lure your kids in with free candy, candy this, candy that. I know kids like candy, but so do adults. You know what I mean? Like, candy isn't just kids thing; it's adult thing too. And it's not like we designed the marijuana to look like candy as a novelty thing to attract kids. It's a novelty thing to tell people what the fucking thing tastes like. It looks like a Reese's peanut butter cup, so I don't got to tell you, hey, that tastes like peanut butter and chocolate, dipshit. You got to already know that because you can just look at it and be like, oh, this must taste like peanut butter and chocolate because I already know that there's a Reese's over there that does. And you look at a gummy bear and you're like, I know why this is a gummy bear because it's a gummy bear, you know? Does that mean that they're marketing this shit to kids? Fuck no. And you know what? As a matter of fact, you shouldn't market regular candy to kids either, man. What in the fuck's wrong with you? That shit causes diabetes. It's full of sugar, which is deadly. If you eat too much of it, you can actually become like in a mode where you can't even eat anything else without throwing up. It's just poison. So Halloween, make sure you don't give your kids too much candy. That's all I'm saying. I'm not totally against candy, but I don't agree with marijuana edible products all being sweet or sugar laced, but it just seems to be, in my opinion, and a lot of people that process marijuana into other things, it's the easiest thing to put marijuana in is cookies and brownies and shit like that. Stuff that's easy to make, you know. You don't want to make it complicated, and you want to make it so people can figure out what their dose is real easily. Cookies are the easiest one because it's like, here's a cookie, it's this big. How big of a piece of that do you need, or do you want the whole thing, or maybe two of them? You know, it's kind of like pills. Like, you know exactly what the dose is because of the size of the thing and how much marijuana is in it. And this is all going to be labeled and with child-proof containers so that your kids shouldn't be able to get to them anyway. Anyway, we're moving on. The Archdiocese has come up with a position that, frankly, we think is based on unfounded assumptions and junk science, says Jim Bergensani, sorry, Jim, a spokesman for the pro-marijuana group Yes on 4. Quote, but we can spend their money, or they can spend their money any way they wish. He added, what I think the Archdiocese is missing is the terrible harm that marijuana prohibition has done to the people of color, to people who have chosen a substance that is less dangerous than alcohol, and have had their lives ruined because they've been arrested. Exactly. And that's the points I've been making on all these religious opposition videos. Like, you can't possibly be compassionate and say that you're religious and that you're for the righteous way of being like Jesus. And if you look at Jesus, he wasn't this Republican Jesus that you keep hearing about where he's against gay people and, you know, whatever right-wing bullshit you want to say. So, yeah, the prohibition has decimated the black community. Prohibition on all drugs, but marijuana is no different. And marijuana is, it's been used in the minority community since the day it was prohibited. That's the propaganda that was used to prohibit marijuana was derived from propaganda against black people and Hispanic people, Mexicans. Not Hispanic people in general, I'm sorry, but specifically Mexicans and specifically black people. That's the kind of propaganda that was utilized to make marijuana illegal. So just based on that alone, we should flip that law and be like, why is this illegal? Oh, they did that? No, that shouldn't be the way it is. So now, you know, if you're out there and you feel like you want to loosen up and take the edge off, alcohol is just not your thing. You smoke a joint and you're like, this is my thing. You made a good decision, my friend. Unless the cops kick your door in and bust you because they smell weed or your neighbor called or you got pulled over and you got a joint in your car, then it's not such a good decision then, is it? So on November 8th, they will vote They will, on November 8th, will decide 4 statewide ballot questions. On marijuana, known as Question 4, polls consistently show the legalization forces are in the lead. A Suffolk University Boston Globe poll released Thursday showed likely voters back proposal 49 to 42. I did a report last week where the support in Massachusetts was even higher than that. Marijuana referendum comes at a time when the national opinion appears to be swinging starkly in favor of legalized recreational use. 4 other states will vote on similar questions, with polls showing them also trending towards approval. National support for legalization stands at 57%, with 37 opposed, according to the Pew Research Center. And, yeah. The church's recent record on the ballot question politics is mixed. In 2014, the state's 4 Catholic bishops joined other religious leaders in pushing a repeal of the law permitting casinos, but did not raise enough money to air TV ads. In 2012, the church helped lead a fight against a ballot measure that would have allowed doctor-assisted suicides. Boston Archdiocese and its affiliate entities contributed about $2.5 million that time, and the proposal failed, so it looks like they won that with their big money. This year, Danilin said the Archdiocese has identified the legalization campaign as a threat to its sprawling umbrella of services, from anti-homelessness programs to food pantries to parochial schools. So basically, you can look at that either way, and it's both bad. Either we need marijuana illegal so we can, these programs can still exist, because illegal marijuana keeps the homelessness up, and it keeps people going to those food pantries, and it makes people want to go to parochial schools once all other options are run out because you have a marijuana record and you can't go to college or get a job or all this other shit. That's about it. You have much of the state's political establishment, including Governor Charlie Baker, Boston Mayor Martin Walsh, Attorney General Mira Healey, and House Speaker Robert DeLeo, has all spoken out against the measure. And I've done reports about what they've said, and the bishop's contribution represents the largest single donation against marijuana legalization, aside from the $1 million check written by casino magnate Sheldon Adelson, a Dorchester native. So he's he's from Massachusetts. The anti-legalization campaign has raised more than $2.6 million, including the Archdiocese contribution. Like I said earlier, Yes on 4 has raised $6.6 million so far, according to the state campaign finance records. And there you have it, folks. That is, in a nutshell, what the church is up to. They're taking money, who knows where they got it from, and they're spending it to fight legalizing marijuana. Saying that if marijuana is legalized, then some of the programs that they have, basically homeless programs and food pantry programs, and scare people into being interested in becoming clergy programs, those are going to suffer, because while people aren't getting arrested for marijuana, their lives aren't being ruined, and they don't have to go to the church when everything else in the world is just working against them because they have this stupid little scar on their record. I got just one thing to say to y'all, man. All you clergy, all you bishops, all you right-wing religious, just crazy people that want to oppose the legalization of marijuana. What if it's your kid that gets caught with a joint? What if it's your kid that gets caught selling a bunch of marijuana and has to go to prison or whatever? Does it even matter to you? That's a stupid question. I don't think that I would ever get the right answer there. Because when these guys' kids get caught, they just end up having to do a public service announcement or something. The next thing you know, they're right back at it.